Have you ever thought about where your produce comes from? Most grocery chains receive produce from various local and national farmers. In fact, there are about 3.4 million farmers in the United States today. But of that staggering number, only 45,000 are Black farmers. At the Better Buggy, we are a proud group of Atlanta-based Black-owned farmers, selling produce locally and nationwide. Our easy-to-navigate online platform makes it easy for you to make a one-time purchase or to simplify your life by subscribing to our weekly produce box. Whichever frequency you choose, you can order with confidence, knowing you'll receive 100% organic farm-fresh produce. If you're looking for a thoughtful gift for a loved one that they'd actually find useful, be sure to pop by our online store where you can snag a gift card your recipient can use to order their own produce and t-shirts. Ready to start supporting local Black-owned farms and making healthier food decisions? Visit thebetterbuggy.com now to start shopping.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CDC released the number of people that died from opioid overdoses during the pandemic in 2020. And overdoses they never stopped. Okay, the numbers have continuously rose every single year, and it did rise in 2020 as well. So, this is another public health issue that they have zero control over. So, this is Newsy, September 9th, 2021. Overdoses have increased amid the pandemic. So, the CDC released a report that 93,000 people died of an opioid overdose in 2020, the highest yearly total on record. And a majority of those deaths were exclusively opioids. Now, a lot of times people will mix drugs, but for the most part, it was opioids. America's opioid crisis, man, this is 2020. I believe this thing started in 1999, and they have zero control over it to this very day. Never did get control. So this goes way beyond the crack addiction that happened in the Black community. This definitely surpassed it. It didn't go on for this long. America's opioid plague started long before 2020 and COVID. So we're in the midst of a crisis and we're very concerned about it. Jesse Bunch, executive director at Turning Point Center. The pandemic had a big impact because, as you know, people were closed, institutions were closed, and working remotely at 20, 50, or 30% of capacity. The CDC shows that 93,000 people died. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was reported only by 28 states. So they never give you the full number nationwide, all 50 states. And the way they get out of it and wiggle out of the whole thing is not mandatory for states to report their numbers. See, so that's how they get around it. Okay. One of the states hit hardest was Vermont. Okay. And people are waiting a long time for mental health counseling, Bunch said. We're seeing an increase not only in overdoses, but in individuals going to the emergency department in the state. And, it's a situation where the problem has gotten bigger and the resources have declined. And that's where we're struggling. That's what they're struggling with. So before the pandemic, opioid deaths in Vermont actually were trending down. But the states, it increased nearly 40% in fatal drug overdoses in 2020. Most of them involving opioids. Some of them of the worst months coincided with the early days of the pandemic and stay-at-home orders. And that left a lot of people on the streets struggling and not able to get into, to get help from a rehab center. Data from the first 5 months of 2021 shows opioid related deaths in Vermont had continued to rise. We're seeing people coming in every day. We're struggling with the substance abuse disorder and mental health issues, Bunch said, and we're trying to get them into the services that are needed. But we're finding that often those services simply are not yet available. Some state officials in Vermont recognize the need to do more. In June, they launched a No OD campaign aimed at helping people make safer choices and increase awareness about opioid overdose symptoms. So, right now, that's where it stands. That's just 93,000 reported. Remember, that's 28 states only. So, I'm sure it's probably way higher than that. And I guess Ohio used to be the epicenter of all of these overdoses and everything, but I guess now it's Vermont. Y'all, please tell me what you think. I mean, opioid addiction seems to have gotten pushed in the background since the pandemic started. They don't really talk about this anymore like they used to. It was really heavily spoken about over the past few years, but now it has really slowed down. Every now and then these stories will pop up here and there, but as you can see, the addiction is still going strong and the overdose deaths are equally, they're saying this is the highest recorded ever out of the 28 states. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.